Welcome to the Mobile Philosopher Podcast. It's a lucky dip of strange distractions engaging with the work of philosophers both living and dead. If you enjoy this, I hope you will also enjoy the Mobile Philosopher books. There are 3 books, and you can find out about them at themobilephilosopher.com. You can also find them in bookshops. Today's episode, You Are Not Boring. Years ago, a cousin of mine got back from a gap year holiday in India, and I asked him how it had gone, and he looked a bit worried, and he said, I'm a bit concerned. I think I might have found myself. He only wanted to have a bit of fun, He didn't want to be one of those people who comes back from their gap year saying that they've discovered themselves. Phony self-discovery is one of the perils of exotic tourism. You think you've been transformed into a deeper, more authentic version of yourself, but maybe you've just become boring and self-involved. If you're like me, you'll have another worry about any inward voyage. What if there's not much to discover? What if I don't have much in the way of inner depths? Maybe I'm shallow and dull. That's why I like the philosophy of F.H. Bradley. Bradley was a very influential philosopher who was writing in the late 19th century, early 20th century. On his view, each of us is guaranteed copious depth. Yet, and here's the crucial thing, self-discovery cannot become boring self-obsession. Even better, self-discovery needn't require any special mental or physical exertion. I promise you, it shouldn't even involve a serious rupture to your daily routine. Suppose you start navel-gazing. Who am I really, you ask? Maybe you're looking in the mirror. Who am I really? Bradley expects that if you ask yourself that question, you will immediately mention your relations to others. You might say, well, I'm so-and-so's wife or daughter or closest friend. It's likely that you'll mention the jobs and institutions to which you have devoted so many waking hours. If you think about it, when we ask each other, what do you do? Almost inevitably, the answer is what you do for a living. Despite the openness of that question, that question is about as open as it's possible to be. What do you do? So when you ask this question, who am I? The obvious answers are given in terms of how you're related to other people and to your society as a whole. Since Bradley navel-gazes with a philosopher's intensity, he draws grand conclusions from these truisms. You are not a mere individual, Bradley says. You can't discover your nature by exploring your inner qualities. Instead, you uncover yourself by tracing the ways that you are related to your society. For example, perhaps we cannot say who you are without saying that you are your mother's daughter. Independently of this relationship and all the others, there is no such thing as you. To specify your nature, Bradley says, we must mention your mum. Conversely, to specify your mum's nature, we must mention you. Bradley says that a man is what he is so far as he is what others also are. You and your mother are separate people, yet you're not wholly distinct. On this outlook, a voyage inward must be a voyage outward. If your relationships with others constitute your nature, it's impossible to become self-absorbed without simultaneously attending to these people. If I engage in a voyage of inner discovery, what that will involve is articulating the ways in which I'm related to others. So if I become fixated on myself, that involves becoming fixated on other people. And so this fixation on self is unlikely to become boring for other people. So that's one of my worries sorted out. I was worried that if I you go off to find yourself, you might just become boring. The other worry I had was that I might not have much in the way of inner depth, and Bradley deals with that problem too. For Bradley, personal depth is ensured by the complexity of your social entanglements. Self-discovery for him is not going to be a nervous dive into your psychic innards. Rather, it's going to be a realization of how you fit into a bewilderingly complex social world of family, friends, colleagues, and so on. No special effort will be required, as promised, for this voyage. To fully realize your true self is to fulfill your social role. So there's not going to be any need for exotic holidays, for sweat lodges, hallucinogenic drugs, and other such strange exertions. Indeed, it seems unlikely, as promised, that you will have to break your daily routine. So Bradley says that you are defined by certain social relationships that you enter into. But of course he acknowledges that not all social relations serve to define the people involved. My relationship with my gym, for example, and the people who run it is casual, right? So we entered our contract, the gym contract, as self-interested, separate parties, each with an identity separate from the other. I wanted access to their equipment. They gambled that I would go infrequently. Right? If you want to know who I am, don't mention the gym. Right? If you want to know what the gym is, there's no need to mention me. And for other people, it's different, isn't it? I mean, for some members of my gym, it's kind of hard to imagine them outside of the place. Bradley says that as social beings, we only flourish if these external relationships are removed. He says, we are flourishing within society to the extent to which we are related to our surroundings in ways that define who we are. Not like my relationship with the gym, but more like my relationship with my mother, for example. Ideally, he says, society would be akin to an organism. Each member of society would be like a limb, its nature determined by its role within the whole. Against the worry that this would undermine your individuality, Bradley stresses again that there's no such thing as you, independently of your relationships. Is this right? Is membership of an organic whole the ideal for social animals? Or is the current of Bradley's thinking more than a little ominous? Life within an organic whole certainly can be appealing. On his travels around America with his dog, John Steinbeck welcomed a group of farmers into the back of his truck for a drink. This is in the book Travels with Charlie. And so that in the back of this truck, sitting together silently, Steinbeck says that they became 9 parts making a whole as surely as my arms and legs are part of me, separate and inseparable. However, this was the effect of particularly good brandy. In Steinbeck's ultimate judgment, such a fabric cannot be prolonged and should not be. There are more of these, and if you enjoy them, I hope you'll also enjoy the Mobile Philosopher books. For more information about them, please go to themobilephilosopher.com. Thanks for listening.